Hello, everybody. Time for another devotion this week. Phil Rigdon, pastor here at St. John Lutheran Church and School. And we're going to take a look today, of course, at God's Word. And we're looking at the Old and the New Testament, connecting those two together and seeing what we can learn about healing. So we're going to look today at the high priests in healing skin diseases, but also Jesus and the lepers in the New Testament. So let's take a look, and I'm going to share the screen here. All right, we'll open this up. There we are. Okay, so as you're looking at this, you're seeing the high priest, and you could tell that from his clothing. You can see the smock kind of that goes over his body, and then the necklace or the pendant that has the 12 stones there. All right, the high priest was important because he would go to the Lord on the behalf of the people, make sacrifices, pray, burn incense, so on and so forth. Just kind of thinking about that, all right? So let's read here this passage. And the priest shall examine the diseased area of the skin of his body, and if the hair in the diseased area has turned white and the disease appears to be deeper than the skin in his body, it is a case of leprous disease. When the priest shall examine him, he shall pronounce him unclean. All right, so if you read Leviticus, you read a lot about how there were people in the community who had skin diseases. Some of those people were lepers. They did have leprosy as we understand it today, but not all of the skin diseases were leprous. The idea of why people with skin diseases were considered unclean, that's a whole nother topic. But the point here is that God uses the high priest to say, okay, this person is unclean and they need to be clean before they can come back to Passover, or rather to tabernacle and to celebrate the Passover. So the high priest says, you're unclean. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's continue. And the priest shall examine him again on the 7th day, and if the disease area has faded and the disease has not spread in the skin, the priest shall pronounce him clean. All right, this image that to be a person with a skin disease in the Jewish community was not good, because first of all, you were isolated. People thought that it would spread, so they cast you out of the community. It was painful because there were no medications for it, and you were considered unclean, unacceptable. So it wasn't good. So you had to be examined and pronounced clean by the high priest so that you could come back in the community and so that you could go to tabernacle and celebrate the Passover. All right, so that's what's going on here. Now, what does that have to do with the New Testament? All right, this is Luke. Now, Jesus is on the scene. There are still lepers, still people with skin diseases, and they're still dealt with the same way by the high priests, as we talked about before. So Jesus, when he saw them go, he said to them, go and show yourselves to the priests. And as they went, they were cleansed. So there are 10 lepers. All right, now let's not misunderstand. Jesus could have cleaned them right away. He could have cleansed them right away and said, you don't have to go to the priests. All right, I took care of it. But there's a couple of things. First of all, notice that they are healed before they get to the priests. By going here, as they're going, they get healed. All right, so now Jesus has restored them in an important way. They're clean. They can go back to temple. They can now rejoin the community. All right, so he has done a blessing. But Jesus is also affirming the role of the high priests, right? Remember, it was Jesus in the Old Testament who set up this whole priesthood. And so he is saying, now go, because I'm affirming the role of the high priest, and go, and as they go, they're cleansed. All right, so what does that have to do with us? All right, why is that important? Well, of course, 1 John 1:9, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just, and to forgive our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Now, this isn't talking about like the Lord will necessarily cure your skin diseases. He may not, all right? But the bigger picture here is that just in the same way that the Lord heals skin diseases so that people can come back into the community, the Lord has cleansed us of our sins. And how? He did it by his death on the cross. So Christ's death on the cross means that you are cleansed of your sin. And because of that, you can now come into his presence. That really is the center of the gospel. We're sinful. We need cleansed. Jesus goes to the cross and he dies so that by his forgiveness, we are cleansed and we can come into heaven. We can come into the Lord's presence. All right. So let me stop this share. And the reason this is so powerful is because it really centers on the gospel. The Old Testament shows how people were brought back in by being cleansed, and the New Testament shows how by the Lord's healing through his death and resurrection, we are now cleansed of sin and brought back into the Lord's presence. That is great, and the Lord's blessings to you. Take care.